What's up guys? Here we are, it's another week at the Home Theater Hobbyist, and Roku, Amazon, and Apple have released new streaming boxes within the past month, or updated boxes. Which one should you buy? Stay tuned, let's find out. So you purchased a new TV, UHD player, Blu-ray player, something like that, and it comes with apps, and that's awesome. But the problem is, they typically don't get updated very often, or even at all. So you should probably pick up one of your popular streaming media boxes so that you can get regular app updates. As I looked in the streaming media boxes, I had a couple criteria I was trying to meet. One, they needed to be future-proof, which means that they need to support as many formats as possible. And also, I like them to support gigabit Ethernet, because that takes some of the burden off of your wireless networks when you're streaming video, so everybody else in your house can still stream, can do what they need to do on the wireless network. Let's start with the 4K Apple TV. It's $179 from Apple. It supports 4K at 60 frames per second, HDR10, and Dolby Vision. Dolby Vision is cool because a lot of the other streaming boxes actually do not support Dolby Vision, so that's definitely a plus for Apple. From an audio standpoint, it supports Dolby Digital Plus 7.1 surround sound. Now, it's supposed to support Dolby Atmos in the future, but right now, as of this recording, it doesn't support Dolby Atmos, so the best you can do is Dolby Digital Plus 7.1. From a content standpoint, it supports Netflix 4K and iTunes 4K. One thing they mentioned during the keynote was that your existing HD content can be upgraded, will be upgraded from from HD to 4K at some point whenever Apple and the studios get around to it. So that's awesome. You don't have to purchase new 4K content. It automatically will be upgraded. Amazon 4K is not supported right now, but from what I understand, that will be upgraded in the future. But as of this recording, it's not supported by the Apple TV. One thing that is missing from the Apple TV is YouTube 4K support. Currently, the Apple TV does not support the VP9 codec that YouTube uses to stream its 4K content. I don't know if or when that's ever going to happen in the future, so as of right now, that is a pretty big miss. The Apple TV also supports Siri, so that's cool. So you can actually just speak to the remote and ask it to find whatever show, TV, movie, whatever you want. So if you're a person that has a lot of iTunes content, movies, music, or you have a lot of pictures on your phone that you like to put up on your TV, something like that, the 4K Apple TV is the box for you. Next, let's talk about the all-new Fire TV with 4K Ultra HD from Amazon. That's a terrible name. I was like, that's your name? That's how you name your product? Horrible. Anyways, it's $69.99 from Amazon, and it is a wireless streaming box. Now, you can buy an Ethernet adapter for an additional $15, so that'll put you out about $85 totally, which we totally recommend, as we said before. It supports 4K UHD at 60 frames per second, HDR10, but it does not have Dolby Vision support, so a little bit of a sad note. It also supports Dolby Digital Plus and Dolby Atmos from audio, so if you have a Dolby Atmos system or you're planning to get one, this is actually a pretty good box to get. From a content standpoint, it does support 4K Netflix and for Amazon 4K, but it does not support any iTunes content. One thing I did mention, and I'm just going to read you a little quote from their website. It says, "On Fire TV, it has never been easier to access thousands of 4K Ultra HD movies and TV episodes from Netflix, Prime Video, YouTube, and more." I found that to be interesting because if you look at the tech specs don't mention supporting the VP9 codec from YouTube. So honestly, I'm not sure if it does support 4K YouTube or not. That's something that we're gonna have to find out in the reviews. This product is supposed to be released October 25th, 2017, which is before this recording. So right now, I have no idea. So that's something you probably need to look into if you're thinking about purchasing this box and you watch 4K YouTube. The all-new Fire TV also supports Amazon Alexa, so you can do some of your Alexa type things. So that's also cool. This box is great if you have a lot of Amazon content, movies and music, or if you have like the Amazon Photos app, and so you can put your photos up on your TV. So if you have those types of things, this is a pretty good box for you. Now let's move on to Roku. Roku actually announced several new products this week. The two that we're going to focus on is the Streaming Stick Plus and the Roku Ultra. The Streaming Stick Plus starts at $69.99 from Roku, is 4K 60 frames per second, HDR10. It supports 4K Netflix, Amazon 4K, YouTube 4K, no iTunes support, but pretty much everything else that you can think of, Roku supports, which is awesome. It also supports DTS surround sound, but no DTS-X or Dolby Atmos. One of the cool things about this is it does support an additional wireless receiver in the power cord, so it should provide better wireless playback because it moves the wireless a little bit further away from the TV and reduces the amount of interference. Let's move on to the Roku Ultra. It's $99.99 from Roku. It supports 4K 60 frames per second and HDR10, but no Dolby Vision support. Content is the same as the Streaming Stick Plus, 4K Netflix, Amazon 4K, YouTube 4K, but no iTunes support. It does support DTS surround sound, but no DTS-X or Dolby Digital. It does have a gigabit Ethernet connection built right into the box. If you're looking for lots of content, I'd probably just go with Roku. It's the easiest, simplest box that you can buy. It's considered to be America's #1 streaming box, so you'll probably get app updates quicker than anything else. The only thing you're missing is iTunes content. Okay, we're gonna quickly talk about two other things. Chromecast Ultra, which is $69.99 from Google. It supports 4K 60 frames per second and HDR10. Has Netflix, YouTube 4K, I'm not really sure about Amazon, and no Dolby Atmos. From a use standpoint, the Chromecast Ultra is a little bit more difficult to use than the other streaming media boxes because it doesn't have a dedicated remote. You have to use an app either on your phone or on your tablet to control it. And so that makes it a little bit harder to use for your average user and a little bit more frustrating for your tech-savvy user. So we don't recommend the Chromecast Ultra, mainly due to the usage experience. Now, let's move on to the Nvidia Shield. It's a box powered by Android. It's $179 from Nvidia, and this is the remote-only box. If you want the game controller, because it does support games, I think you spend an additional $20. So it does have 4K 60 frames per second, HDR10, no Dolby Vision. It also has Chromecast built in, so you can do some of the Chromecast stuff, so that's cool. It supports Netflix 4K, Amazon 4K, YouTube 4K, no iTunes support, does support Dolby Atmos and DTS-X. Also has a gigabit Ethernet built into the box. From a support standpoint, the Nvidia Shield does a really good job. I wasn't expecting it to do so well, but once I started looking into it, I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. From a usage standpoint, most people say it's actually really easy to use, it's fast, it's Android 7.0. So if you're looking for something that supports everything but iTunes, this is probably the box for you. Okay, so recap. If you have iTunes content and have a lot of it, get the 4K Apple TV. If you don't have as much iTunes content like myself, but you still want wide format support, go for the Nvidia Shield. And if those two things are a little bit too pricey for you, I would go with the Roku Ultra. It supports a lot of content. You're gonna be missing out on a few things like Dolby Atmos, DTS-X, but you'll still get a wide content library and you'll save a little bit of money. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment below. We'll see you next time.